Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Attila Dobán. I work for Deutsche Telekom Global Carrier and I'm going to share the stage with Mirko Voltolini today. So I have the chance to present the Stone Panther showcase today, which is about to find a new methodology for invoice settlements. So within the project, we wanted to address one fundamental pain point in the business area of billing, what is unpaid invoices, by introducing simplification, automation to gain efficiency. So the root cause of having unpaid invoices is the data quality issue, which might come from the order life cycle changes, which can lead to invoice disputes, which is by nature manual and resource-intense exercise, resulting in long lead time to get resolved it. And in general, to have invoice disputes definitely does not boost the service, does not boost the business, meaning it can, in a worst-case scenario, turn to lost deals, lost revenues. So we wanted to find a solution not to deal any longer with so much unpaid invoices. After having done the analysis, we have come to the findings that there are certainly opportunities to improve the processes. There are two considerations. One is that we should move into an inventory-based verification process, which is based on standardized data model. This should be a common repository, meaning that we look forward to have one source of truth where the transactions take place prior to the invoicing processes. Last but not least, we say that the inventory matching and the so-called unique aggregated billing statement should be externally confirmed. So this is the reason why blockchain came into the picture. The second consideration is that we want to improve internal processes and the ecosystem to find more efficient way to work on the discrepancy management. As you can see the logos on the top bottom corner, the initiative is run by 4 well-known carriers, Colt, Console Connect, Vodafone and Deutsche Telekom Global Carrier. And currently the scope is limited to on-demand data services because here we have the most of the volumes in terms of services, legacy services.
Yeah, so maybe to add also some context, we actually have this in production. So this is a project that started well over a year ago. Went through a phase of MVP and then moved into a production environment. The intent since the beginning is to make this fit into and compliant with the overall MEF end-to-end life cycle. So you can see from the picture here that we basically look at, as Attila was saying, look at the inventory before a transaction, the time a transaction happens, before the invoice happens at the end of the month, and then do reconciliation at the invoicing time at the end of the month. Today, again, bringing this back to reality, we spend buy and sell from each other quite often. It's hundreds of millions that we actually pay to each other on an annual basis. It happens more than often that these payments are delayed for maybe a handful of different setup in between our systems, especially if you look at, and I can talk about that since I'm not here, but Vodafone has a very complicated setup as they have multiple different legal entities in different countries. So for them it's actually dealing with multiple different suppliers. So the level of quality that we have between our respective inventory databases as kept isolated is quite low. So it happens more than often that there is a delay in the invoicing, in the payment of the invoices at the end of the month that typically lasts 2-3 weeks. It involves manual resolution between the two companies, often also involving sales. So it's actually quality time that we waste to try and resolve a few minor issues. Typically, on a long list of invoices, service we buy and sell from each other, is only a few of them which have typically differences in terms of when the service has been activated, or the charges, maybe one of the charges may be missing. So it's minor errors that cause the entire invoice to be blocked. We use today already the LSO API, so we really want to make this compliant. So based on the MEF definition for digital ledger. Attila was already mentioning, is one important aspect of this is actually standardized data model. We did quite a lot of work in the beginning to create a common data model between the companies, as everybody is using different representations on the backend systems for an order. So that was some work we did in the beginning.
So we wanted to achieve simplification. Let's see how we can obtain simplified process workflow. So the conventional way of performing the invoicing process is that after the CPQ, order placement, delivery, and service activation, actually the invoicing is performed and done by the seller autonomously, meaning based on its own internal local inventory. And similarly, the invoice validation is done by the buyer, again, autonomously, based on its own local inventory. And the outcome can be twofold, so either the invoice is paid or it's disputed. If this latter comes, then this is a reactive approach, meaning that we need to enter into the cumbersome process to get it sorted, and many times based on the internal ecosystem of the carriers, the full amount of the invoice is withdrawn, regardless what is the amount of the dispute itself. So this is the current process, and the new one that we are aiming to introduce here is going to be not autonomously performed by unilaterally, but this is going to be a mutual approach, meaning after the service activation, invoicing will take place only upon agreement, meaning at the same time the seller and the buyer needs to work on building this single source of truth, which is the baseline for making the invoicing, and also at the same time the automatically created billing aggregation, the billing statement and the settlement are processed at the same time by both the buyer and the seller. So the simplification means in our case that it's about less manual work. It's a more streamlined cash flow process, and actually we believe that this is this complements to the NaaS solution in general. Let me come closer to the concrete solution. So the solution is built out of two applications. Let's call it like that. One part is the inventory, the service inventory part, and the second one is the invoicing. So currently, both the buyer and the seller has got its own local inventory about the provisioned services. The task is to make an upload into a common repository, which is going to be the blockchain shared repository, by using the standardized data model. Once it's done, I mean the upload is done, then the system is going to make the matching for the services automatically. Matching means that if the information is stored, if the same information is stored in both the buyer and the seller repository in the local inventory, meaning, then we are going to create the smart contract. So the commercial conditions belonging to these matched services are instantiated in a smart contract, which is going to be understood as a financial liability between the buyer and the seller. So in these two steps, we have managed to create a single source of truth for services, and based on the fact that this is created in a blockchain environment, it is fully auditable. The next step, which is also performed within the ecosystem, within this blockchain shared repository, that taking into account the smart contracts, the system is automatically create the so-called unique aggregated billing statement. This is actually the real-time exchange of the financial liabilities between the buyer and the seller. The aggregated billing statements are processed to the same extent by the buyer and the seller. the seller is going to take it into the processing workflow, so only those items will be billed which are part of the billing statements, and the seller is going to use the statement because they are going to use it for the invoice release process. So the outcome is that we are only going to issue invoices which are flawless and undisputable. So in this way, we have the invoice clearing process in a pretty simplified way. The current network is about the 4 carriers who are part of this community and this initiative. Everyone has got its own instance, either hosted in its own blockchain node, or alternative is that the party can turn to the vendors provided blockchain node. And now we are going to play a video which is going to provide some insight about the GUI, how the user can interact with the system.
We're here today to talk about your project. So let me ask you, why did you start this project?
There is an inherent lack of trust and pure user experiences when it comes to invoice settlements. Our processes are manual in nature and ineffective, wasting time and money. We aim here to create trust, improve the experiences of our employees and the customers, and building future-proof commercial processes in a digital world.
How much effort is it to use the software?
It is quite straightforward. Let me show you. In the landing page of the system, you need to choose from the buyer and the seller view, and you need to select your partner. Once you are in, you can make a selection anytime and when you want. You need to choose the appropriate partner, and you need to select the view that you want to touch. The initial step is to create the relationship. You need to go to the terms, where you need to make a definition what attributes you choose for matching criteria based on the MEF standard data model. It is based on a mutual agreement, meaning we need to make an alignment with the partner before it comes into force. In our example, the tick marks indicates that we have done this job together with Colt.
Wow, this is it? And how do you upload the inventory to the system?
You either use the Excel file for upload or you do it via API. For a seamless and zero-touch experience, we absolutely recommend automated upload based on APIs. So in our example, we have already made the uploads into the service repository, done by Deutsche Telekom and Colt at the same time.
There are green, yellow and red dots now. What do they mean?
The green light indicates that the information stored in the buyer and the seller repository is the same. It means only these items will be put into the so-called billing aggregation statement, which is the basis to perform the billing run. The yellow and the red lights indicates that there is a sort of a discrepancy in the repositories between the seller and the buyer. These items will be included in the billing aggregation only once it is already resolved, and the charges will be billed retrospectively.
Can you click on one of the yellow dots now? Will it then show what exactly is wrong?
Let me do it for you. So in our data set, we do have a few items which are marked with yellow dots. These are about the partial match. In our case, the system is going to indicate what's wrong with the data. Here we have a conflict in terms of the amounts. So we did store different costs than what the other party did. In order to resolve this conflict, I might need to revisit my backend inventory and make an adjustment in our data. Let's do it for this example. So right now I need to make a new upload with the new data set where we don't have any longer the discrepancy in the cost. I need to select my upload file and I need to enter it into the system. So after we have done an upload, we can cross-check if the match is already on. So I only need to check if the respective service record is indeed on a match status. And this happens after I made the correction in the amounts. Matched services related commercial conditions are instantiated as smart contracts into the blockchain. With the smart contracts, we immediately compile the financial liability between the partners. The smart contracts are used to calculate unique, immutable monthly aggregated statements. You will see here an example invoice which is issued by Colt.
So you only generate the bills for those items where you have a green dot because they're okay, correct?
Exactly. We are going to include only the green marked items into the bill run, which means the invoice will have only undisputed items and it will be 100% correct, so it can just be paid.
How was it before you used the system? How long did it take from sending a bill to receiving the money?
Depending on if the invoice release was manual or semi-manual but surely executed on a local inventory-based verification process, it can last 1 to 3 months. Industry estimates that 40% of intra-carrier invoicing leads to delayed payment.
Are you telling me that CFOs from the buyer and seller side can now secure 99.8% of their cash flow? That is impressive.
Correct. Speed and accuracy. This is why we started this project.
Okay, if I would like to do that now, what would be the best way to start this?
It is easy. You should start with a proof of concept approach, joining the carrier community who are already part of it.
Is this a cloud solution or an on-premise one?
In our case, as Deutsche Telekom, we operate it out of our AWS environment. Our IT manages it, installs upgrades. The solution has passed the comprehensive internal privacy and security assessment. Alternative option is to use our vendors, AWS Cloud. Colt delegated all IT aspects to ClearX. They don't need to worry about installs, upgrades, monitoring. Also passes security clearance from their security team. Some words about the summary and the benefits. So by deploying this new ecosystem, we have managed to get an aligned inventory which is based on a single source of truth. Thanks to the blockchain environment, this is immutable and auditable by external authorities also. And we have managed to reduce the manual work, which connects to the dispute management, where we save time and we do proactive clarification and resolution for items which could not go through the automatic matching procedure. The financial aspect is that the cash flow management will be more reliable and much more predictable. Maybe we can even win something on this side to make more business with the customer, because if the statement of account looks in a better shape than with the other customers where the statement of account is in a bad shape, then even the business scale can be higher and can be extended. Basically, we speak about a system which fits the on-demand data model in the NaaS setup by taking into account the LSO blockchain recommendation. And the data model is also compliant to the proposal from MEF, LSO APIs. And last but not least, I think we have a benefit that this initiative was internally driven and arisen by the 4 carriers to make something in the way to avoid some of the hurdles that we have faced so far in this business. So I think,
yeah. So going back to what I said regarding the benefits of this, so today we have 4 operators in this project. Is live. Is only as good as how many operators we can get. So today we have improved on all the benefits that were on the previous slides. However, that's applicable only to the group that we have today. Also, so basically the message is call to action, come and join us. Also want to reiterate the message that Mark Alfinger brought up this morning in the keynote. He was also going through this project as one of the key activities that we run together with Consult Connect PCW Global. The intent is that today we have a number of different projects running that use blockchains. It feels like the early stage of of this activity. There is a need for convergence. We think that creating a DAO between operators could actually avoid to necessarily all agree on the same, using the same blockchain, so we can actually create links between these islands. So I think that's a way to get around the complexity of having all to adhere to the same standards. By nature, this being an innovative project, we use ClearX, which has a great solution, however, is based on their own proprietary technology, and I think we have seen this happening now in a number of areas. So this is the intent, I think, is the vision that MEF should also push forward.
Sorry. And one more short video will come where we will have some short testimonial from as we. Now let's listen to vice presidents who will speak about benefits of this new methodology for invoice settlements.
We are an active participant in this initiative because it sits well with our journey towards lifecycle automation. It allows us to extend the capabilities of our homegrown automated platform, Console Connect, to include the realm of our neighbor carriers, cloud providers, edge, IoT, and other ICT sector stakeholders. It is part of our efforts to enable our customers to fulfill their ICT requirements through a click of a button, allowing us, our partners, and our customers flexibility and choice of service and terms, overcoming complexities and manual processes.
Within our industry, there's a lack of trust and subpar user experience when it comes to business commercial settlements. At Vodafone, we have recognized the need for transforming our approach on the creation and settlement of invoices with our valued B2B partners. Existing processes are mainly manual, causing inefficiencies and result on both time and financial resources waste. Our primary objective is to create trust, improve the experience of all the stakeholders involved, and enhance the commercial processes to thrive in a digital world. Together with Colt, Deutsche Telekom global carrier, PCCW, and ClearX, we have created a platform where the services we exchange align, detect, and correct discrepancies well before the initial invoice is due. This is a game changer. Invoices now have become clear, straightforward, out of the pre-agreed data, streamlining the processes from the get-go. This has direct bottom line impact, cash flow. Through this collaboration, we have achieved something truly transformational and remarkable. We believe this will shape the industry for the future, and we're looking forward to further development. Thank you.
Digitization across the entire value chain is a must for telco operators. With the advancement of on-demand services, this becomes even more relevant. Therefore, we have created a solution for automated billing and settlement, which is fully compliant to the MEF standardization framework. We have been able to create a live environment between Vodafone, Colt, Console Connect, and Deutsche Telekom for billing and settlement of data on-demand services. Come join us to reap the benefits of this solution.
This is gonna be the closure slide, and here we have to admit that aware of that generative AI can contribute to a lot to make it even more efficient workflow. So currently we use system-assisted dispute resolution, but still the final negotiation is up to a manual exercise. So we look ahead into exploit much more out of the predictive capabilities to fully automate dispute resolution, and also in general to earn much more on the performance of the whole ecosystem.